I think we're back. The problem should be solved. You'll have to let me know. I know what I did wrong. I figured out the mistake. I actually had it set to 60 frames per second at 4K, which this camera, it can output in 4K. However, it is not capable of outputting at 4K 60 frames. So I forgot to switch it back, and that's why I was basically coming through at 5 frames per second. So sorry about that. Can't believe I missed it. But let's try this again. Let's try this again. All right, guys. Welcome back to the stream for a second time. Welcome if you're new. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Appreciate you bearing with me there as we had to troubleshoot a little bit. Let me pull out my chat. Yeah, gonna have to wait like a minute or two now for more people to get notified that the correct stream is up. I'm at 4K. Is that on purpose? That is on purpose. Yes. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, much better. Could you imagine if I did the whole stream like that? I need a pre-flight checklist. Dude, I'm telling you, I usually don't miss stuff like that, but it's because I've been switching it back and forth a lot, and that was just a setting that I guess I overlooked. We have SOU, a.k.a. Mr. Hamster, with a super chat saying, MBG, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you as well, Mr. Hamster. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us today. Happy Friday. Yep, it's Friday, and we have some topics. We do have some interesting topics to go over and talk about today. We have new details on Sony's secret AAA studio that they have yet to formally announce, but we are getting bits and pieces of information about this new big PlayStation game they're making. Good to hear that, Chris. Still waiting for mine. Still waiting for mine. Oh, that's interesting, Ray. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know. I'm sorry to hear that, Ice Queen Gaming. We're talking about Death Stranding 2. Pre-orders, or at least pre-order information, has leaked. No updates. It's beast mode. I actually went to go check the shipping, and it wouldn't even work. It wouldn't even let me track it. So I don't even know at this point, dude. Like, I'm going to give it at the absolute latest until like Monday or Tuesday of next week. And if I still don't get it, I'm just going to have to like try to request a refund, because it's kind of insane, dude. Kind of insane. Whiskey Gaming with the $2 chat says, going to be a good day adopting a new dog today. Well, that's awesome, Whiskey. What kind of dog are you? Like, did you already decide? Do you know which dog you're picking up, or are you just going to go wing it? That's good stuff, dude. Oh. Let me get rid of that old chat. Yeah, I did see that. We're probably going to talk more extensively about that on Sunday. Probably, we'll probably save that for Sunday stream. Sunday stream, we are going to be checking out the Death Stranding 2 presentation. I might either do my Sunday stream a bit later than normal to accommodate for that, or I might do 2 separate streams. I'm not exactly sure yet. But that is one topic we will be discussing then. Today we're talking about Sony's secret AAA studio, new details on that. We're talking about Death Stranding 2 pre-orders. We're talking about Marvel 1943's release date, apparently kind of leaking out a little bit. We're talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 and how we just got some news about specifically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 that I think is incredibly disappointing. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, it's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern. the Death Stranding 2 panel. We're going to be talking about Respawn potentially and how they canceled a new FPS, which I think is going to disappoint a lot of people. You're getting a German Shepherd. Family's new baby is allergic, so I'm taking her. Name is May. Oh, that's cool. Whiskey Gaming. Yeah, I think my grandmother had a German Shepherd. She says it was the best dog ever. That's what she said. She said German Shepherds are the best dog ever. She absolutely loved that dog. That's what she told me, you know? So I never met the dog. I think it was like before I was even born, but Death Stranding 2 Info Sunday. Yep. Yeah, we're getting a whole presentation for Death Stranding 2, but today apparently we have some pre-order information that's leaking out. And I think it maybe lets us know. Pre-orders are going to be going live apparently on Sunday for Death Stranding 2. So it seems like we are going to get a release date. Charged Hard with a $2 chat says, I assume you already covered The Last of Us 3 cancellation. Now, you're calling it cancellation. We did cover this yesterday. We will probably talk about it a little bit more today. Yesterday's stream was quite unhinged and a bit all over the place. I was like hopped up on 3 cups of coffee, just chugged 3 cups straight. And I hit the ground running a little too fast. But yeah, we will probably talk about that a little bit more extensively today. I did put out a video earlier covering that news. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Whiskey Gaming. Yeah. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, man, that's good. I think that's a big deal, getting a new pet, a new dog. What's up, boss? Don't worry. I'm not replacing you with a dog. Yet. Just kidding. Summer release for Death Stranding 2 expected. Well, we can start there. That'll be the first topic we discuss. But before I do that, I want to just take a moment to thank you guys for joining me today and hanging out here. I also want to give a shout out to those of you who watch the streams later on and you can't catch them live. I do appreciate the viewership. I want to ask you to please take a moment and hit that like button if you haven't already. New Last of Us trailer confirmed tomorrow. What, for the HBO series, I'm assuming? Okay. It makes sense. They announced the limited edition DualSense yesterday, which tells me they're really starting to ramp up the marketing. A couple of ways you could support the channel if you're new here. I feel like I have to say that because I know most of you guys already know, but just in case you're new, consider becoming a channel member. Gain access to exclusive perks. You gain access to the members lounge. We do Morning with the Misses a couple of times throughout the month, and you get emojis, all that good stuff. We will be doing a members lounge after today's stream. Okay, so when this stream ends, we are going to move over to the members lounge and hang out there for a while. We're done with The Last of Us. Releases new Last of Us DualSense. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. They showed a picture of Joel's broken watch. Uh-oh. If you're already a member, consider gifting memberships. Or if you were previously a member, consider gifting memberships. We're striving for 25 member gifts today. If we can hit 25 members, we will feed Boss some treats and Luna some treats. I almost said we're going to feed Boss some Luna. No, we're going to feed Boss and Luna some treats. Consider dropping a super chat, ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between, or consider dropping a direct donation. The link is pinned at the top of the chat. Big shout out and thank you to everybody who supports the channel directly. I can only do this because you guys make it possible. So seriously, thank you so much. Neil needs to speak on the quote and confirm or deny The Last of Us 3 is still on. I do agree that there's probably going to need to be some type of clarification. I think there's going to need to be some type of clarification because it's like I said yesterday and like I said in my video today. Back in the making of Last of Us Part 2 documentary, he straight up said that he figured out the theme, the story for part 3, it'll be just as good as part 1, just as good as part 2. And he says, I think there's one more story left to tell. He went from that to just doing a complete 180 to now saying, like, this just might be the last time you see The Last of Us. Like, this might be it. Don't bet on it. That's what he said. Don't bet on it. Huh. So I do feel like he's kind of, completely he's completely going the other way now. Come on, boss. Come on. Go chill. Michael Lynch with a $5 super chat says, just gave a ride to 2 Japanese guys to SXSW. Sadly, neither of them were Kojima. Damn, bro. Yeah, I know you were holding out hope, Michael, that you were going to be able to give Kojima a ride to his destination, but who knows? Maybe they're part of his team. MBG, maybe they're retconning The Last of Us with the show, and the third game will be more in that vein. That would be a really interesting way to go about it. I don't think so, though. My gut tells me they're not doing that, but that would be a very interesting way to go about it. Yeah, guys, do me a favor, by the way. I think I did mention this, but I want to mention it one more time because we had some technical issues with the first stream that I had up. We had to bring up another one. Please hit that like button if you haven't. I'd really appreciate that. We're a little bit behind on the likes because of this. Boss, come on, dude. Just relax. Relax, all right? Don't look at me like that, bro. Don't look at me like that. Stop. Just chill. Just go chill. It's not time. Don't bet on it. The Last of Us Casino. If they get in the car, I will tell them I will be his personal driver for that day. I'm going to have to move my chair over, dude. All right. Yeah. When it comes to the Last of Us situation, one of the things I don't know that I talked about enough yesterday is Sony's potential reluctance to move on from The Last of Us because of how big The Last of Us is for them. I was more focused on Neil Druckmann's comments, more focused on Sony maybe having a problem with the budget of The Last of Us Part 3 or something like that, new management at Sony, all that stuff. But there is also the reality that, yeah, we did just see a limited edition DualSense for The Last of Us announced yesterday. We are seeing a PC release of The Last of Us Part 2 alongside the HBO, adaptation. It does, and they also have, this was something that I didn't mention, they have that new, it's not like a virtual reality experience, but it's like this new type of immersive experience that's like, I guess Sony is kind of like envisioning the future of like arcades or whatever. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Some type of Last of Us experience where you can like smell The Last of Us, and it's like a I don't know, every wall has like a screen on it, and it creates like a 3D. It feels like you're like in a 3D space, basically. I don't know. It's something kind of strange that they're working on, but they're doing that as well. So I just felt like I had to kind of bring this up as well because I didn't touch on it enough when we discussed it yesterday, where it does seem like, the chances of Sony just being like, yeah, we don't want to do anything more with The Last of Us, it seems like that's not necessarily the most likely outcome, right? It feels like that would actually be the least likely. Like a lot of people still, even after hearing what Neil Druckmann said, they still are like, no, they're absolutely going to continue to do The Last of Us. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, who doesn't want to know how the world of The Last of Us smells? I'm sure it smells great. Isn't the show planned for 4 seasons? Apparently, yeah, that's what they say, which I feel like that's really stretching it out a bit. I mean, I understand why it has to be more than one season because I don't think you could cram everything that happens in The Last of Us Part 2 in one season, but 3 seasons sounds a bit excessive. It does make me think that they're going to add quite a bit compared to the first game or the first season. Oh man, illegal monkey. Yeah, that's the part that they're going to let you experience. No way. Give The Last of Us to another studio? Oh, I don't think they would do that. There's been rumors that there is a studio, a PlayStation studio, we don't know which one, but there have been rumors for a while that there's a PS studio making a new Uncharted game. And I don't know, man. I have like a hard time imagining Naughty Dog just, just doing that, just being like, here you go, here's Uncharted. But maybe it was Sony's decision. I have an even harder time imagining them doing that with the Last of Us IP. They're going to recycle the ideas they had for part 3 into the new season of the show, so it will be all original content. Oh, that would be awful. That would be awful, dude. Because like if they were to do something like that, that means they're saying we're going to do The Last of Us Part 3 through HBO, not a game. And I'm like, that seems really not good. Like I feel like that just, I don't think people would be okay with that. I think there'd be a lot of backlash. MRPD, you're saying the rumors that Malaysia and XDev are working on Uncharted 5. Is that who? Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I need to see like some proof of that because PlayStation's Malaysia studio, I think, has just been a support studio. I can't imagine that Sony would give Uncharted to a studio like that. That's just completely unproven. I think Ben's studio could do Uncharted. I mean, they did Uncharted Golden Abyss, right? So Chris, you're thinking of getting a new PC? Oh yeah? Beast Mode, you're saying you're skipping season 2 anyway? You think the show was mid? I thought season 1 was pretty good. It did feel like they left out like quite a bit in terms of like there wasn't nearly as much action overall. There wasn't as much action as I expected, and it feels like they just kind of glossed over certain things. And I kind of like understood that they probably felt like they had to do that, but to condense it into 10 episodes. But that's what I think is what's a little bit annoying in my opinion. Not so much annoying as much as it's just it feels like they kind of left certain things out of The Last of Us season 1. Not a lot, but again, certain sequences that I thought would have been more important, they kind of left it out. But like with season 2, they're like, yeah, we're gonna stretch it to like 3 seasons, bro. And I'm like, okay. What's up, Corey? Oh, that's a good Chris, that's a good reason to get a new PC, bro. Yours stopped working. Yeah. That's a good reason to get a new PC. Michael, you're saying people downplay that show too much. That show was incredibly well done with high quality. I mean, I do agree. I think it was a well done show. I did really enjoy it. I especially enjoyed the end. Like, I was really curious to see the last episode and how they would pull the ending off, and I think they did a really really good job. Especially the scene with Joel when he's just going like full blown, you know, Terminator mode. Oh, come on, bro. Why you got to be trolling in the chat, man? TV, TV, TV. My, how the tables have turned. I did. I did. No games, so let's talk about TV shows. Well, Chris, did you read the title of my stream? Hmm? Did you read the title of my stream? We're talking about games, bro. We're allowed to talk about other things too. Ooh. Ooh, I am Chris. Whiskey Gaming. Putting him in his place. We are talking about games, bro. Come on. Stop the trolling. I'm tired of it. John, you're saying it must be somebody you blocked? You know, no, he didn't get banned. He didn't get banned. Oh, he did. Oh, well, that's fine. That's fine. Sorry, Chris. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I could unban you, but I'm not going to because you're very annoying. All right. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I don't mind people wanting to engage in, critical thinking here, opposing opinions, different opinions. I want that. I feed off of that. What I don't want are trolls. Can't deal with the trolls. Yeah, we might get an influx of trolls in the coming days. Just a heads up. Death Stranding 2 event on Sunday. Release date? Yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about this because we have a leak, apparently, for Death Stranding 2 pre-orders. So this comes from TLOUS. Bill Kuhn, I think that's how you say his name. So from TLOUS, he says, according to our information, several physical editions of the game Death Stranding 2 are being prepared. We confirm that the game will be released in a physical format for the standard version. So that's good. I mean, I think we were expecting that, but good to get that extra confirmation. A collector's edition is also planned for the game, and we can confirm that it will be released in North America and Europe. The release of this edition in other parts of the world remains to be confirmed. In addition, we have been able to recover the price of the collector's edition in US dollars only for the time being. And so the standard edition of Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is going to be 70 US dollars. The collector's edition for Death Stranding 2 on the Beach is going to be, according to TLOUS, 230 US dollars. So quite an expensive, I would say quite an expensive collector's edition there. What do we think it's going to come with? But this has to mean a release date, right? And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. He's kicking it off. Corey's always trying to push to hit that 25 goal. Corey, I appreciate that, man.
I'm no hero. Never was. Never will be.
I mean, the Death Stranding 1 collector's edition, if I remember correctly, it came with BB, right? So what are we thinking? What are we thinking? I feel like it could be so many different things. There's probably stuff in Death Stranding 2 that we haven't even... Well, I know for a fact there's stuff in Death Stranding 2 we haven't even seen yet. Maybe that's what it could be. When are the pre-orders going to be up? They don't say when the pre-orders are going to be up, but I think the insinuation is that the pre-orders are going to go live like right after the event. No, thank you, Corey. I appreciate it, dude. Oh, that would be cool. Higgs guitar. Maybe not like a full scale. Certainly not. But like a kind of miniature one. Oh, yeah, the puppet. What's the name of that puppet? It has to be something really obvious. Puppet Man? Is that his name? Bill said at the end of March. Oh, did he say that? That's interesting. It's not, I don't see it here. Okay. Thank you for that, MRPD. I missed that. So the end of March. Huh. So yeah, okay. So maybe what they could do is during this event or this presentation on Sunday, what they'll do is they'll come out, they'll reveal a bunch of new details about the game, show off new gameplay, and then announce a release date. And then they'll say pre-orders are going live soon, or pre-orders will be live later on. Doll Man. Oh man, of course. Of course. Really? That that's not surprising, dude. Hideo Kojima named a character Hot Coldman. Hot Coldman. Of course that character's name is going to be Doll Man because he's a doll. Norman Reedus. It's going to be a statue of Norman Reedus. Not even as the character of Sam Porter Bridges. It's just going to be a statue of Norman Reedus. It's just going to be a statue of Hideo Kojima. There we go. That's what it's going to be. That's going to be the collector's edition for Death Stranding 2. March 15th is the 20th anniversary for God of War. I think March 22nd. I could be wrong, but I think it's March 22nd is the 20th anniversary for God of War. Maybe we'll get the remasters in the following week. Well, the two big things that I'm anticipating we're going to be hearing about from PlayStation this month. Well, we know, like I said, Death Stranding 2, this presentation's happening on Sunday. I think it's going to be significant. I don't want to get my hopes too high, but I mean, it's set to come out this year. And we're hearing now that pre-orders are going to be going live. There's going to be a collector's edition. I imagine that he's going to be showing off quite a bit. He has big guests. He has Norman Reedus, Troy Baker, Wood Kid, I think, the musician. Santa Monica's hosting an event on March 15th, but they'll probably announce the remaster then and announce a release date for March 22nd. Ooh. That would be awesome, dude. Yeah, I don't know how confident I am. I'm still skeptical about this God of War collection. I feel like we've been talking about it for a while, and it's like, let's just see. Let's see what happens. But that's the second big thing that I think could happen. I am really curious for Sunday's Death Stranding presentation. I'm really curious what exactly Kojima's going to show off, because I have to imagine that he is going to show off gameplay. We have seen a little bit of gameplay in the last trailer, the 10-minute trailer from, I think, January of last year. In the middle of it, or towards the end of it, we got a couple snippets of gameplay, but nothing that really, I would say, gave away too much. So I'm thinking that when we see this Death Stranding presentation, we could end up getting a pretty extensive deep dive, for gameplay. And that's what I'm most curious about, because a lot of what we've seen and a lot of what we've heard, it's like, yeah, this sounds like more Death Stranding, but it's Kojima. He's definitely going to change things up. He's going to be adding more to the game naturally, iterating on what was already there. I think most people are really curious to know what the biggest gameplay differences and potentially mechanics, mechanically speaking, what the differences are going to be between this game and the first. And I imagine, and again, I'm not trying to hype things up too much, but I imagine, considering it's Kojima and he's had more time to work on Death Stranding 2 than he did Death Stranding 1. That's another important thing to highlight. He's put more time into it. He's probably going to have a couple surprises up his sleeve. And Mini Tom Official comes in and renews his membership, saying, "Finally, I'm here and I'm back." Mini Tom was
I'll be back.
Perfect. Did you set me up for that, Mini Tom? I do appreciate that, though, man. Thank you for renewing your membership. And that's already been added to the counter. Love to see it. Yeah, we'll be doing a members lounge after today's stream ends, Mini Tom. So try to stick around for that. We're going to hang out for a while. You hope the fighting combat is improved. It wasn't appreciated as much in the first one. Yeah, there was more combat in Death Stranding 1 than I think people made it sound like. it wasn't necessarily prioritized, but it was there. But I do agree that like the combat felt a bit cumbersome at times, I think, because one of the things I remember when playing Death Stranding is like you're fighting, mainly like boss battles, and you got all these packages on your back and stuff, and you're trying to like balance it out while simultaneously like shooting an enemy and running away and dodging and stuff. But it does seem like, at least based on, um, at least based on the last trailer we got, the way that Higgs was talking to Sam, he made it sound like this time around, like you're gonna be engaged in more combat, and there's gonna be more action overall. And this is something that Kojima has touched upon in previous interviews when talking about Death Stranding 2. He did make it known that the sequel is going to be more like his previous games. He didn't acknowledge Metal Gear Solid, but he was saying like it's what you're going to be doing in Death Stranding 2. There's going to be more aspects of it that are more traditional and more comparative to his previous works. And so, yeah, I mean, when you think about the previous games he's made, I think that just ultimately means a heavier emphasis on action, combat, and potentially stealth as well. So there's no denying. I mean, as you can see, there's no denying you're still going to be delivering packages. That's still going to be a big part of it. And I think it should be, because I think that's like a core aspect of what that game is. But it does sound like maybe there's going to be, I guess, kind of like things that occur in between you kind of doing those deliveries. That's where things might change up quite a bit. You wouldn't put much emphasis on what Higgs said. Kojima is always very misleading with the lines he puts in his trailers, making it seem like it's more serious. Yeah, that is true. That's a good point. Chris, you're saying you're looking forward to the Gears collection? Yeah, dude, just to bring that up for a moment, are you guys seeing how apparently the Gears of War collection is not going to have multiplayer? And man, it's really interesting to see when it comes to the Gears of War collection, it go from like mega hype to just so many people being flat out pissed off. Like, I understand why they would do that, because Gears of War E-Day is coming, and that's probably, they want people to play that multiplayer. But man, there's no denying that the multiplayer for the Gears, the original 3 Gears games, was like, you know, that was like where it was at. Yeah, there will be co-op. So you can, according to, I believe, Jez Corden, and there was another person, I don't know their name, but somebody else who recently said that it wasn't going to have multiplayer. According to them, it's not going to have PvP. You're going to have the stories, and you can play them cooperatively, but no MP. And people were like people were like pretty upset about that, dude. They're like, no way. Like, this is an L. I personally don't care. Like, if it did have multiplayer, I probably wasn't going to play it anyway, or play much of it. But I know that there's a lot of people who are very passionate about that. I think they want to save the multiplayer for Gears of War E-Day. I think that's what it is. I think they're going to try to make Gears of War E-Day a bit of a live service, and it's like, I don't think they want to split the player bases and whatnot. Okay, you're saying it makes sense. They want people to focus on the story and then move to E-Day and its revamped multiplayer. That's what I'm thinking too. But I completely understand, though, like, people's disdain, because there is so much of the nostalgia for the original 3 Gears of War games comes from that multiplayer. But either way, man, I think it's still good to get a collection of games that you can play the story, you can play it cooperatively. To me, that is the more important part. But yeah, it seems like people, from what I gather, it seems like people were kind of expecting it to have multiplayer. Like, that was like somewhat of an expectation. Do I think Death Stranding 2 will have a Silent Hill teaser like the other game, where we saw that it was like Silent Hill? I can't remember. I feel like I remember what you're talking about. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Kojima, he's been teasing a couple of things here and there in his, I almost said Silent Hill trailers, in his Death Stranding trailers, but nothing that seems to be like a direct callback to, like, the biggest tease that I can recall seeing with Death Stranding 2 was the original trailer where it showed like the ship rising out of the water and you just immediately were like, Metal Gear. Like, that's a Metal Gear. So he could have a couple of, like I said, a couple of surprises up his sleeve for Death Stranding 2 with this new trailer and this new presentation he's going to show. But in terms of like kind of having a callback to Silent Hill or PT or something, I mean, it's Kojima, dude. I think it'll be there. I don't know if it'll be in like a trailer, but I think when we play Death Stranding 2, there's going to be a lot of different hints and nods towards stuff he's done in the past. And I think one of those could be PT. Is that leak true with the horse in Death Stranding 2? Oh, I don't know. What are you talking about, Ray? This is the first time hearing of it. If you play Gears, you'll play it on PlayStation Plus when it comes for free. You're not going to buy it. I do wonder in like, well, it's hard to imagine when that could happen, if that would happen, but maybe years down the line, potentially. You wonder if we're going to get any big shocks on Sunday? Well, I don't know, man. I do get the feeling that if there was ever a time for Kojima to kind of come out and announce something somewhat surprising, you know, drop something on people that maybe wasn't expected, this might be the time. I feel like this is the best time. You're saying Death Stranding is going to be cool because it looks like we're dealing with parallel universes and you wonder if that's going to make its way into the gameplay. I mean, yeah, thinking about the last trailer we got, I mean, at one point it looked like he was on the freaking moon. So it's like, I'm expecting some craziness, dude. I'm expecting some craziness, but yeah, man, that's where we're at right now. We know Sunday, PlayStation presents Death Stranding 2 on the beach. For me, it's going to be at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. So, like I said, I'll either be doing a later than normal stream to accommodate that, or we will do 2 separate streams. But either way, I am going to stream it. And we are getting information about the pre-orders. Pre-orders are dropping, apparently, towards the end of March. It's going to be a regular version and a collector's edition for $230, but we don't know what it's going to entail yet. John V says he's getting hyped. I'm excited for it, man. The biggest thing that I want to know outside of the, seeing the gameplay is what the release date's going to be. I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be a summer release, but I guess before we move on to the next topic, I want to ask you guys, like, do you think it's a possibility that this game could be ready to go as soon as like the end of May? What's on Sunday? There's going to be a Death Stranding 2 presentation on Sunday. A pretty significant one. It seems like we're going to get the release date and everything else. What day is it? Okay. Chris retracted that. Late June / early July if we give it 3 months. If we give it a 3-month pre-order window. Well, yeah, I think you're correct about that. Because if it's going to be released, or if the pre-orders are going live at the end of March, maybe like June. Yeah, it gives it about 3 months. Yeah, or July. Yeah, June or July I think those 2 months are probably the most likely. Maybe even July sounds like the most likely. And Hellbound 1981, another legend, comes in and drops 5 more membership gifts for you guys. Corey and Hellbound, the bros. So I'm going to start calling you the bros. Always tag teaming it. Thank you so much for that, Hellbound. I'll give you this because I know. Boss does thank you. He thanks you guys for getting us closer to the goal so he can get a couple treats today, maybe. That brings us up to 11 members on the day. So, yeah, guys, again, consider dropping some membership gifts. We are going to be doing a members lounge, and Mini Tom as well. Yeah, Mini Tom official. He's also part of the bros. I'm just going to call everybody who gives a membership. They're the bros. I don't know. I feel like isn't that a thing already? Wait, is that what PewDiePie used to call his audience? Am I imagining that? I might have to think of a different name now. The collective. They're part of the collective. The initiative. What do I think the collector's edition will have for the game? I mean, I have no idea, dude. Maybe just some like outfits or like different apparel or something. I mean, if you remember, Kojima had like sponsorship deals or whatever, where it was like Monster Energy and stuff. So I don't know if they're going to do that again. Maybe there'll be some weird things like that. Give us a better name than that. You guys do deserve a better name. I'd have to think about it. The Hellgast. I think one of the things that could be revealed is, at least gameplay wise, one of the things that could be revealed is there's going to be like ship combat or gameplay, something like that. Where you're in this giant, the gift squad. There you go. That's pretty good. You're in this like giant ship, you know, going across the ocean or whatever. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if you like pre-order the game, you get like a, I don't know, like a specific type of ship. Something that's like considered like a pre-order bonus. I was going to say that looks like Metal Gear, but I don't know. It's Kojima's not working with Konami anymore, so I don't think that he could do that. Space combat. Yeah, what if we're just going to do it all, dude? We're going to go to space, sailing the seas. Do I think this is the last trailer we get before launch? Or do I think that there's going to be a shorter one and the final one is at the Sony event this summer? That's a good question. I mean, I think we'll still get another trailer. Yeah, I mean, we'll get a launch trailer. I know that. I think we'll get a big trailer or a new I don't know if it'll be big, but a significant trailer at this event or this presentation. And then I think there will be another one. Maybe, who knows? You know what? The more I think about it, there could be a lot of trailers, dude. Like if this kicks off the marketing push leading up to like a June or July release, we could be looking at multiple trailers, like, you know, every couple of weeks, essentially. I wouldn't be shocked if they did it that way. You want like gameplay behind the scenes trailers? They could do that. I remember Santa Monica Studio did that for God of War Ragnarok. They had a lot of like dev diary type. I mean, they did like a countdown. I think like every week they release like a new kind of behind the scenes, not like behind the scenes, but more like developer focused videos going in depth with certain aspects of the game. That'd be pretty cool if they did that. Do I believe the fact that PlayStation 5 faced injustice, like no next gen Gran Turismo, no next gen God of War, canceled Ben Studio and Bluepoint, no Last of Us 3? I love the way that's worded. The injustice. The PlayStation 5 has faced a great injustice. I mean, to an extent, yeah. I think, like I said, I think the PS5 generation, when it's all said and done, we're probably going to look back at it and be like, it could have been better. Like the dominoes were lined up to where the end result could have been better, but there were a couple of roadblocks, you know, some tripping up, some floundering, if you will, that occurred throughout this generation that I think could have been avoided, but, you know, not that bad. I don't think so anyway. Will Death Stranding 2 be the end of the franchise? Uh, it's possible. I think Sony wants to see how it sells. Well, hold on now. Hold on though. It's not a Sony. Sony doesn't own the IP anymore, or they never did own the IP. Kojima owns the IP. Sony's obviously going to care about how it sells because they funded it, but there is a Death Stranding movie in the works. I don't know. I imagine Kojima wants to continue Death Stranding, but then again, you're talking about the same person who wanted to stop with Metal Gear after Metal Gear Solid 2, but felt like an obligation to the fans to keep making Metal Gear. I think maybe Death Stranding 2 we could see a result where maybe it does have some kind of like overall conclusion that feels satisfying. And it's like, yeah, dude, we don't really need more. Everybody's kind of okay with like, yeah, we got 2 Death Stranding games and they were great. And that's that. And he can move on to Fizzant, right? And that's what makes me think there won't be more Death Stranding, is that he is working on a brand new IP after Death Stranding 2. That's likely it is going to be a PlayStation 6 game funded by Sony, and he's still working on that OD game with Microsoft. So, yeah, I could see it being the end. Which wouldn't always, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Not everything has to keep going per se. But I'm looking forward to it, man. I really enjoyed Death Stranding. I feel like Death Stranding is still a little bit underrated. I think that some people give Death Stranding a really hard time and make it seem like it's such an awful game or just a really unfun or unpleasant game. And I don't agree with that. I think there's a lot there with Death Stranding, a lot to enjoy. I do understand and accept that it's not going to be for everybody, but I'm just really curious to see this presentation because I just want to know if when we see this gameplay for Death Stranding 2, if it's going to not feel, but because we're only going to be able to watch it, we're not going to be able to actually play it. But if it seems like it's going to be doing very different things compared to the first game that look like it's going to completely change the overall feel when we get the game in our hands, comparatively speaking. But we do have to talk about another topic here, which details on Sony's secret AAA LA-based studio. I don't know how many of you guys are aware of this, but Sony has a seemingly very big. When I say big, I'm talking in just terms of like what they're working on. They keep emphasizing it's a big AAA game. I don't know how big the studio itself is, but it is a AAA studio. They founded a AAA studio in Los Angeles, and we don't know the name of this studio. We don't know who's working at this studio. We don't know exactly what type of game the studio is making, but we did get at least one new detail that gives us some idea. And I think that this detail is pretty important because I think this detail reveals what type of game it is. And I think it also reveals potentially who is the head of this new studio. So before we move on to talk about that, if you haven't already, please take a moment and hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. It helps the stream quite a bit. But I do have a write-up here. Let me bring it up. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment is in a peculiar spot with its multiplayer live service game initiative. The PS5 saw incredible success with Helldivers 2, but was undermined by the failure of Concord. However, despite its fruitless efforts, the company seems to be continuing to attempt to break through the live service genre with more games, according to a recent job listing. In a recent PlayStation Game Systems designer job posting for its new Los Angeles studio, it states the studio is looking to, quote, create the next groundbreaking AAA original IP, end quote. This isn't new, as previous job postings for the studio stated the same thing. However, this specific job posting gives some insight on what this game may entail. In the qualifications section, it lists most of the requirements anyone would expect on a job listing. However, one specific line gives an indication on the type of game the studio is working on. They say, quote, experience with and knowledge of cooperative multiplayer design principles and ideals, end quote. So it's not a whole lot to go off of, but it's actually significant enough to, I think, confirm something that we've been thinking for a little while now. So again, we knew about the studio. We knew that the studio was built from the ground up by Sony. We knew it was based in LA. And the studio was not hiding the fact that they're trying to make what they're calling a groundbreaking AAA new IP for PlayStation. Now we know that one of the main focuses of, or focal points, I should say, of this game is co-op multiplayer. They're specifically looking for developers who have extensive knowledge in co-op multiplayer. And that's exactly what I was thinking. This has to be Jason Blundell Studio. Okay, for those who don't know, I think most of you do, but just a kind of quick recap. Back in like 2021, Deviation Games was founded by former Treyarch developers who worked on the Call of Duty Black Ops games as well as Call of Duty Zombies. And that's what Jason Blundell was known for. He was known as kind of the mastermind for the peak Call of Duty Zombies era. And it was kind of a big deal when he left because people were like, damn, you know, we like that guy. He was really good at what he did for, he did a great job with Call of Duty Zombies. So people were sad to see him leave, anybody who was a Call of Duty Zombies fan. And they founded Deviation Games, and Deviation Games partnered with Sony to make a live service game. And what's interesting is there was leaked footage. It came out a while ago, but there was like 5 seconds of really early pre-alpha, probably not even pre-alpha, but some kind of build of a game where you see like a character in third person with a weapon, and there's like this giant creature crawling a tower, and it looked kind of sci-fi based. And we weren't sure who was, whose game this was. Turns out that was Deviation's game, but their game ended up not only getting canceled, the studio ended up shutting down because things just fell apart really quickly. It sounded like there was a lot of mismanagement and a lot of people just not on the same page. Where we are today, Sony apparently, I mean, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, but Sony apparently still believes so much in Jason Blundell and his vision for his game that they actually gave this guy his own studio. And this is kind of a big deal because when you think about that, like, I'm not saying it means it'll be good. This could be another Concord in the making for all we know, but it's just the fact that like they believe in Jason Blundell so much. They're like, dude, we're going to give you your own LA based studio. Now, this is speculation. It's not confirmed that this is his studio. What is confirmed is that Jason Blundell is working for PlayStation Studios. That is officially confirmed. And there are many Deviation developers that when they left the studio or were laid off of the studio, they joined his team at PlayStation. So when you consider that this new job listing says that they're looking for expertise in co-op multiplayer, that's what Jason Blundell specializes in. I'm pretty certain at this point that we've kind of locked in that this LA-based studio is Jason Blundell's studio, and they're clearly working on some type of massive AAA co-op multiplayer game. I mean, I have no idea what it could be. Could it be something related to zombies? Because he made Call of Duty Zombies, and we see how big Call of Duty Zombies is. Maybe, but there's going to be a focus on co-op, and I'm really interested in this. I'm not going to lie. After what happened with Concord, I'm just automatically much more trepidatious about new studios that Sony believes in, especially for multiplayer games. Could it be something like Helldivers? I mean, I think it'll be very different from Helldivers, but something like it in terms of like, that's what Helldivers is, right? Helldivers 2, no PvP, purely co-op. Yeah, I think it could be something like that. You just hope there's realism to the game and not like a Fortnite style. Yeah, I do think that, I mean, considering his previous experiences, like what he's most known for is Call of Duty Zombies. I'm not saying I would expect it to look exactly the same, but I don't know. I don't. It would be kind of weird if they were like, yeah, let's just go with the Fortnite art style, or cell shaded or something. I imagine it would be something a little bit more grounded. But new IP or utilizing current Sony IP, they do state in the job listing it's a new IP. So it's whatever it is, it's brand new. It's something we haven't seen before. MBG, are you for or against the current administration? Mystic Ryan said he is against. Are you talking about Sony's? Like the new Sony leadership? I mean, I don't I'm assuming if you're referencing Mystic, he must have said that in like a recent video. Maybe I didn't catch that. If we're talking about Sony's new leadership, um, I don't know if I'm for or against it. I really don't know because we don't know what it looks like in terms of results. We don't know what their philosophy is. Oh, okay. Okay. I was wondering if that's what you were talking about. I'm not gonna talk about that here because I'm trying to stay away from that. I'll be honest with you. Like it's too much. It's you know what I mean. It's just too much. But if we're talking about Sony's leadership, I don't know how to feel about them yet. I'm assuming that probably came up due to the tariff discussion and physical games maybe starting to become less present because of it and the price of consoles and hardware potentially going up. I'm assuming that's why that was probably discussed. Which yeah, it is if those things happen, that's actually pretty annoying. Especially the physical games thing. Like if that's how we end up like not getting physical games anymore, that's going to be so depressing. I mean, I have my limits. I think everybody does. But here's the question I want to ask you guys about this new AAA co-op multiplayer game from a new LA based studio. The question I want to ask is how do we feel about the fact that it's clearly going to be a live service game? How I feel is nervous, dude. I don't feel like I can have any confidence. I got to be honest with you. Like, I want to. I really do. Like, I want to be like, this could be great. But whatever this is likely still years away. And I just saw what happened when I tried to do that the first time with Firewalk. I remember I was like, oh, yeah, Firewalk. Sony liked the studio so much that they just bought them. You know what I mean? They just bought them and they believed in whatever they showed them. And I kind of like assumed that Sony knew what they were doing. And maybe that's where the mistake was, where I assumed that surely they're not going to do that for a dud of a game. Boy, was I wrong. So I'm a little bit nervous now that like, I mean, the one benefit that I can give this new studio is that it's in a post Concord world. You know what I mean? So surely Sony and whoever, assuming it's Jason Blundell heading the studio up, surely they know. Like they know what to avoid now. I'll buy that for $1. Depends on what audience it's aimed at. I'm going to assume, and this is all I can assume at the moment, considering they're working on a co-op multiplayer game, and this is likely the studio that's being led by Jason Blundell, I'm going to assume they're going for the Call of Duty Zombies audience, which is a very, very big audience. I mean, keep in mind, Activision at one point considered like making dedicated zombies games. And I think they were going to, where they were going to have like a full-blown like Call of Duty Zombies game that you bought at full price, and it didn't come with the yearly or annual Call of Duty. So the audience for that is massive. And here's the most interesting thing, though. The Call of Duty Zombies audience loves Jason Blundell, dude. Like, they love this man. to a point where they will likely be supportive of whatever his next game is. And what's important to know is that some of the people we're talking about that are Call of Duty Zombies players, they're like huge influencers. I mean, like they have huge YouTube channels, man. And I think he was even on some of their channels being interviewed years ago for Call of Duty Zombies and whatnot. So he's kind of famous in that circle. And so Sony probably knows that. And they probably know that, like, if they can put together a well playing, competent game, then, there's kind of already this built in fan base to a degree. You know what I'm saying? That it could prove to be something that really boosts the game right out of the gate. But it really depends on what type of game it's going to be. I mean, we know it's going to be a co-op multiplayer, but like, what will the setting be? Is it going to be like a shooter? I mean, it seems like it's going to be a shooter, right? I mean, what I'm not really sure what else it could be. A new Left 4 Dead style game would be great. I do love co-op games when they're done right, Co-op games can be amazing. And yeah, Left 4 Dead. I mean, I've always loved co-op zombie games, dude. I love Left 4 Dead. I've always enjoyed Call of Duty Zombies. So I'm interested in whatever this is. I'm fascinated by the fact that Sony built a new studio. See, here's what's really interesting about this as well, before I move on to another topic. What's really interesting to me about this studio in particular and this game is it's even more different from what happened with Firewalk and Concord. Sony did not build Firewalk. They didn't make that studio. That studio was made by Probably Monsters and funded by them, and it was completely separate from Sony. Sony just ended up, after it was all said and done, scooping them up. What's interesting about this is Sony's building this from the ground up. That is fascinating to me because it's like, when does Sony do that? I mean, really, like when does Sony just like make new studios? It's kind of unheard of, I think, to a degree. Like, I mean, we saw with Team Asobi, but I mean, this is something that's like, yeah, we're putting it in Los Angeles, California, and we're going big. I find that very interesting. Hold on one sec, guys. Didn't someone try that with Back 4 Blood? Yeah. And apparently there's a sequel in development for Back 4 Blood. Maybe it was canceled. I don't know. WB Games, I think they were the ones who published it, so maybe that's not happening. But I do remember that there was there was a lot of hype for Back 4 Blood. I was hyped for it because I'm like, yes, this is basically going to be Left 4 Dead 3, and it was not. It was not Left 4 Dead 3. Left 4 Dead 2 was still running laps around Back 4 Blood, and the biggest thing about Back 4 Blood that I thought was so dumb was they had that card system that just felt so forced and needlessly complicated, where they were just afraid that the game would not be able to succeed based off of the simplicity, even though that is what made Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 thrive, was the simplicity. But yeah. Would I still be worried if it's like a SOCOM-esque live service? I would feel a lot less worried. I would actually feel pretty excited about that. Because we don't really get games like that from Sony anymore. So if they were trying to make a play for like a somewhat like grounded military third-person tactical shooter, I'd be like, or even it's like a co-op style game, right? Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds great. But it right now it's still so early. It could end up being anything. There is always the possibility that maybe what Deviation was making, maybe the game that Deviation Studios was making was actually really good. It's just that the management was complete garbage, and they just, like, there were people in positions that they just didn't like. Maybe that's what Sony did. They were just like, you know what? We're just going to bring over Jason Blundell. We're going to bring over as much of the Deviation talent that we can, and we're going to manage it. because whatever they're doing over there independently, they don't know what they're doing. But maybe the product itself, maybe that gameplay footage that we saw that leaked, that pre alpha gameplay, maybe that actually is what the game is going to be. It's possible. It's possible because that's what Deviation said. They said they were making a new AAA IP. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out eventually. Oh yeah, Zombie Army. Yeah, dude, I played Zombie Army Trilogy and Zombie Army 4. And are they making another one of those games? I really enjoyed those games, dude. They're so simple and fun and basic. And that's what I mean. Sometimes it's just the simplicity of like, here's a co-op zombie game with your friends. And I think it's from the same people who make the Sniper Elite games. Those are really fun. The Zombie Army games. All right. What other topics do we have? So we still have a couple of other things to discuss. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Now, I do think this game is one that PlayStation fans in particular are going to want to pay attention to because it is a Marvel game. And I know that there are a lot of people who are completely burnt out on Marvel. It's been overdone, oversaturated. I get that. And there are people who are not excited at all about the idea of a new Marvel game. But I think what is worth paying attention to specifically for PlayStation players here is Amy Hennig, who I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but she was the one who directed the original Uncharted games, and she's pretty well known in the PlayStation fan base and community, and very well respected. And she used to be kind of the head there at Naughty Dog, so she is the head of this new project, and this is going to be like a big action adventure game. It is going to be based on Marvel property and Marvel characters, but just the fact that Amy Hennig is associated with it, I think, is something that, yeah, that a lot of PlayStation players in particular are going to gravitate towards. And so we're getting a little bit of information here about a potential release date. So it says here it's been a while since we heard any news about Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, the action and adventure game in development at Skydance New Media and scheduled to be published by PlayOn should launch this year. But there have been no further details on release timing, and some fans are worried about a potential delay. According to Black Panther voice actor Carrie Payton, I think that's how you say his name, the team is still doing its best to release this holiday season. Speaking to the Direct, he said, "We're still working. We're planning on 2025. We're thinking like a Christmas situation. But I'm so excited to be playing him in the video game, playing his grandfather, be playing a version of Black Panther, and looking on there and seeing that it's me. It's like the most photorealistic. We want people to play this game and have the entire family sit on the sofa and watch it like they're watching Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead or something. We're looking for just an incredible cinematic experience for everybody, and I pinch myself." Peyton is definitely right about the game's photorealism. The developers demonstrated the impressive Unreal Engine 5 powered visuals during Epic's Unreal Engine GDC 2024 live stream. The development team is helmed by none other than Amy Hennig, who's renowned in the industry for her work on Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Uncharted, and Battlefield Hardline. I actually didn't know she worked on that. That's so random. She was famously developing the Star Wars codename Project Ragtag at Visceral Games before the studio was shut down and the project was canceled. Announced in September 2022, this game is going to involve Steve Rogers, Captain America, forming an uneasy alliance with Black Panther, the King of Wakanda. Other playable characters include Howling Commandos member Gabriel Jones and Nali, leader of the Wakandan spy network. So, yeah, man, I'm pretty sure this game's gonna get delayed. I know that they're saying they're aiming for Christmas, but I think that's exactly why it's gonna get delayed because this game is clearly a big one. It's a big AAA action adventure game. Has has talent involved, a lot of money clearly poured into it. But if I'm telling you, man, like if GTA 6 is coming out this holiday, I think they're gonna end up delaying it. I think they're just not even gonna risk putting it out. So maybe they still are aiming for late 2025 or like Christmas 2025. I don't know. I mean, if GTA comes out in like October, and then if this game came out in December, would that be enough time? I mean, there has to be some games coming out at the end of this year, right? There have to be some games coming out. You're saying there's too many games coming out this year? There will be good games people won't play? Yeah, that is true. That is true. I feel like this year in particular is going to be a bit of a struggle going into the holiday because I think we could see one of the most barren holiday seasons ever. Like I think we're going to get a lot of games coming out as we see in like March, April, May, June, but I think there's a lot of summer games that have yet to be announced. But I think kind of going into the holiday season, we might see a strange situation where it's like somewhat barren and not what we usually see. And I think that's going to be for GTA 6. And it would be really awkward if GTA 6 gets suddenly delayed and then we just had this kind of holiday period where there's like hardly anything coming out. But in general, there are a lot of games coming out, and a lot of these games are really big, so people are struggling to keep up. John B says he's completely okay with some games getting delayed. I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of people who would be okay with that. Certainly. What's up, Garrett? GTA 6 has the gaming industry on strings. It's got the gaming industry sweating. Phantom Blade Zero, Hell's Us, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Death Stranding 2. Yeah, man. Sometimes I forget just how many games are coming out. There's a lot. There is a lot. It's a good year. It's a good year overall. I think it's just strange that we're still kind of in this uneasy place though. You know, we talk about a game like I mean, we could probably add Marvel 1943 to that, right? But that's the thing, like is it going to get delayed? Is it actually going to come out? The Lies of P DLC. I think the Lies of P DLC is basically going to end up being like a whole new game. Like, is anybody else getting that vibe? Like, I feel like it's going to be pretty massive. If the Death Stranding 2 pre-orders go live this month, when do you think it will be released? Well, I was saying earlier, MRPD, I think it's going to be like a June or July game. I think it could come out maybe in like August or something. Lost Soul aside, forgot about that game as well. That's coming out May 30th. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see them choosing to delay a game like Marvel 1943 simply because, I mean, it's a Marvel game, so it's automatically, I think, going to sell pretty decent. But it looks really good. Like what we've seen of this so far, it is true. Like the photorealism in this game is kind of nuts. It seems like it's really pushing Unreal Engine 5. So I think if they want to delay it to like a Q1 2026 release, I think that would be fine. Crimson Desert, Phantom Blade Zero. Phantom Blade Zero is not guaranteed to come out this year. They said they're going to announce the release date this year, but they didn't confirm that it's going to be a 2025 game. Your wallet is sweating. I mean, yeah, dude, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to keep up, I think. Mind's Eye. Yep. That's what's surprising to me is that Mind's Eye was literally just announced and they're like, yeah, it's coming out in like basically a couple months. It's going to be ready this year. How the hell am I supposed to play GTA, Ghost of Yotei, and Death Stranding this year? Yeah, Garrett, I don't know, bro. Did I see the latest Hell Is Us gameplay video investigations? I saw it pop up on my feed. I didn't get the chance to watch it yet. I'll probably watch it later on. Yeah, Mafia, the Old Country. You think Sony's doing a bad job marketing Lost Soul aside? I do. I don't think they're doing like a bad job, but I guess what I could say is they're not doing a very good job either. Like it seems like they're doing okay. I do fear that this game might end up struggling a bit, but Sony's been supporting it for like over a decade. So I don't know, man. Maybe they're just happy that it's finally gonna get out the door, you know? Is this year officially the most stacked this generation? It might be. Yeah. I think it might be. I mean, we've had some pretty stacked years this gen, but yeah, dude, it's looking like this might be the most stacked so far. Yeah, Doom's coming out, Little Nightmares 3. The list just keeps growing. You think Yote might get delayed? I hope not. I don't think so, dude. Sony seemed pretty confident at their last earnings. They made it, they like really stated that Death Stranding 2 Ghost of Yote coming this year, not this fiscal year, like in the calendar year 2025. So I don't know, man. I think they're pretty confident. I think they're pretty confident. May Madness. Yeah, May is really stacked, dude. Like there's too many games I think coming out in May. Gonna order a pizza to celebrate. Yeah, bro. You called this the 2018 of last gen. Or you called it. You're calling 2025 basically what 2018 was last generation. Yeah, I could see that, dude. It really depends on which games end up getting delayed because you know that some games are going to get delayed. I think that's really what it comes down to. There are still games kind of lingering that have these 2025 release dates, release windows, but we don't know yet if they're actually going to slip. Yeah, Judas as well. Yeah, apparently that I don't know about that one. Apparently it is targeting a 2025 release, but we haven't heard anything officially. So it'll be a summer to remember. Yeah, I mean, things are gonna, I think, heat up very quickly. I feel like February for a lot of people was stacked. I feel like March, there's definitely some releases coming that people are looking forward to. But I think like I don't know. I'm not really sure. I know there are games coming out in May, but I don't know off the top of my head. Do you guys know of any April releases? Any like big April releases? I know that there's something. Black Ops 2 remaster or remake I heard for this year. I heard that you're talking about this year's Call of Duty. I heard that it's going to be a direct sequel to Black Ops 2. So it's basically going to be Black Ops 7, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of people have been wanting something like that for a long time. Oh yeah, Days Gone. Forza and Days Gone are coming out in April. Yeah. I know there's others though. You think Sony has another first party game this year that they have not announced? I'm going to say probably not. No. I don't think they're going to have like an Astrobot ready to go. Well, it depends on what you mean, like or what your expectations are. Like I think we could get again something like a God of War collection announcement that just kind of comes out of nowhere. Now, we're not like out of nowhere, but like, hey, it's kind of a little bit of a surprise. Like, oh yeah, that's first party, you know, like that's a first party release. But in terms of like a brand new first party game that Sony kind of has up their sleeve that they are planning to drop this year, something relatively big, I don't think so. But again, it like, do you count Marathon? Do you count Marathon? Do you count Fair Games? I mean, I'm gonna say most people, maybe some people count Marathon, but probably nobody counting Fair Games. Venom, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Venom's real. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I don't. I think that game was something they were maybe trying to do, but maybe it got canceled because we haven't heard anything. Like we haven't heard a peep, and we know that they're trying to finish up Wolverine, right? So I don't know that I'm confident about a Venom game. Garrett, you seem confident in it. John, you're saying they probably don't think it's necessary. I would love for it to be real. A dedicated Venom game, I think, would be awesome. playing as Venom briefly in Spider-Man 2 was easily the highlight of that game for me. So I would love to see that, but I'm not sure, man. I feel like we only had one singular thing tell us that that Venom game is real, and that was a leaked roadmap that could have, this was in 2023. So this absolutely could have changed. It probably did change, and it just simply said a Venom game, you know? I mean, don't forget the Spider-Man 2 DLC seemingly got canceled. I mean, maybe they decided to roll it into Spider-Man 3 or something or save it, but it seemed to have gotten canceled. And so the thing that the thing that doesn't make much sense to me though is that the Spider-Man Miles Morales game sold so well. I mean, you would think that they would want to try to do a dedicated Venom game. Not confident, just wishful thinking. Tony Todd said prior to his passing that 90% of his lines weren't used. Yeah. 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 So I don't want to. It's a mystery. It's up in the air. It's a coin flip. You know what I mean? 50% chance there is this Venom game and it is real and it is coming. 50% chance it's not and it was canceled and it was just an idea that they were conceptualizing and it never came to fruition. It's tough to drop a Venom game when the voice actor passed away, ripped to the goat, even though I know they said they didn't use all his dialogue that was recorded. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one there. What if the DLC involved Tony Todd? Joe saying, MBG, don't be surprised if Yote got delayed. You heard it from me first. Actually, somebody earlier said that, Joe, but I don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I think Sucker Punch is confident. I think that game is pretty much done, dude. Like, I think they're still working hard on it, but I know, dude. Boss, I know. Remember, guys, you can always drop member gifts. You can always drop a single member gift. Try to work our way to that goal. Boss appreciates it. He's clearly he's clearly itching for his treats. They should have done DLC for sure, but we'll see what happens. I think it was very surprising in a way that they canceled DLC for Spider-Man 2. But I don't know. There's been a lot happening behind the scenes with PlayStation Studios. There's been a lot going on that I don't think we know the full picture. I don't think we know all the details. I don't think we can know all the details, but I think it's just you kind of see enough happen over a relatively short period of time, and it seems to kind of indicate that there have been some significant changes to the plans. Certainly. Might just go all out with Spider-Man 3, make sure releases at the launch of PlayStation 6. Yeah, that could be a way to go about it. Maybe Insomniac was spread a bit too thin and that roadmap was just not feasible for them. And yeah, maybe there's just this kind of great importance placed on Spider-Man 3 where it's like, listen, we got to get Wolverine out the door before the end of the PS5 gen, but we got to make sure Spider-Man 3 is as good as it possibly can be, as packed as it can be, and ready to go at the launch of the PS6. Yeah, that logic lines up, dude. It does. Like that actually makes the most sense because obviously Sony still wants to push to sell PS5s. They want to end this generation as strongly as they can, but at the same time, like, it's already going well for them. And so if they can kind of let their studios better prepare for the PlayStation 6 launch, and if they have enough studios with games that are ready to go to fill out the remainder of this gen. You got Wolverine, Saros, Intergalactic, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding, any partner games potentially that we don't know about yet. And they feel confident in that. I mean, yeah, you could kind of see how they're like, listen, we need to have like the strongest lineup we've ever had for the PS6 because it might be a tough sell. We're going to need it. And they will probably be cross-gen as well. Perfect Image, I see you're dropping some oh yeah, Claire Obscure. I forgot that was coming out in April as well. How are people feeling about it? I feel like people are pretty excited for that game. That's a lot of titles you're listing there, man. A lot of them look like some indie titles as well. Hmm. Well, I mean, I'm okay with whatever Insomniac wants to do, man. I think that they have to just make sure they get the bigger games right. You know, they got to make sure they nail Wolverine. They got to make sure they nail Spider-Man 3. And if making sure that happens means we don't have the time or resources to really just like make a Venom game, I'd be okay with that. Illegal Monkey, you're saying you're hyped for Claire. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of excitement for that game. Do I think Sony Santa Monica's next IP gets announced this year? I would be surprised if it didn't. Gotta be honest with you, man. This new IP that Santa Monica is working on, they've been working on this for literally years. I mean, I think for well over 5 years now. But we know how it goes, man. These are really, really big projects with, they're starting from the ground up. They're starting from scratch. Like sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes these projects get rebooted. So I guess it wouldn't. It's possible that it might not be ready to be revealed, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's kind of like in the same position that the Horizon multiplayer game is in, where it's like, dude, this game has been in development for literally like 6+ years, and we haven't seen a single thing. So I'm not sure, dude. I'm not sure if they're going to be ready to show it this year. I mean, we did get that rumor from Jeff Grubb, and he claimed that Sony is debating whether or not they want to do a showcase this year. And I feel like the only reason they wouldn't is if they felt like they didn't have enough to show. But I feel like another reason they would do a showcase this year is if they do have enough to show. And part of that would be one of the bigger games we can reveal is Santa Monica's new IP. What's the premise of with Claire Obscure? Oh, I don't even know, dude. I just know that it's a turn-based RPG that has a pretty unique art style that people are gravitating towards. Eric Williams is on the next God of War game. Corey's on the sci-fi game. Yep. Apparently, that Resident Evil movie made by Sony is set to release next year, and they're going back to their classic Capcom horror roots. I mean, we're anticipating that Resident Evil 9 is going to be announced this year, right? And I think next year marks the 30th anniversary for Resident Evil. So maybe they could be Capcom and Sony, maybe partnered, could be gearing up. Hey, man, 30th anniversary for Resident Evil. We got RE9. We got a new RE movie. Yeah, I don't know if I can get too excited for the Resident Evil movie. Like I feel like I can get a little bit excited because Sony's involved, PlayStation Productions is adapting it, and they got a seemingly a pretty good director. So it's like, all right, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, I think the last Resident Evil movie was terrible, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't even watch it. I'm not even talking about the silly ones either, like the ones that got crazy. I think there was like another one that was made like a couple years back, and it was just not good. Santa Monica will show off their new IP in the next showcase this summer, maybe. That's yeah. I mean that to me, that's the place to do it. If Sony does decide to do a showcase this year, I feel like that would be the best place to show off Santa Monica's new game. And there's a lot of mystery around this new Santa Monica game. There's a lot of mystery surrounding it. All right, hold on. The Leon actor they had was terrible. That's what I remember hearing. $831 Loco says the Uncharted movie was good. The Uncharted movie was pretty good. I mean, I don't think it was great, but I thought it was good enough. It was good enough. When is that new Silent Hill movie coming out? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I think there's a movie based on Silent Hill 2. I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel like it should have been out already. I mean, that movie was announced, I think, back in 2022, so I'm not sure, dude. What's the likelihood that the main character for the new Santa Monica IP is a female? If so, get ready for outrage, shaking my head. I think very, very high likelihood, yeah. And yeah, people are going to be out. Well, it depends. It's beast mode, right? It depends. Like, is it going to be attractive female or I guess like average female or below average female? And, you know, however people judge that. Because I feel like if they are like, yeah, we have a new female lead and she's like super attractive, people will be like, all right, you know. And if it's not an overtly attractive female lead, yeah, you're going to see the same type of reactions that we've been seeing. And yeah, you know, I I don't know, dude. My hope is that when they reveal games going forward, they just show more. I feel like if they just showed more right out of the gate, there would be less of this. You know, there'd be less of the kind of over the top reactions. But maybe it'll be in the Alien. It's a sci-fi game. Oh yeah, it might not be a human. Might not be a human. Yeah, that leak that we went over for Santa Monica's new IP, I have no idea if that was true or not. It's like one of those things where it's like, I mean, what seemed weird to me about it and what seemed to, I think it might have been true, is that it provided what was supposed to be like concept art. And the leak for the Santa Monica IP, it talked about the setting and how it's like there's like a giant space demon or whatever. But it said that, yeah, you're going to play as a female protagonist who's marginalized, and Deborah Wilson, I think, is in the game as a really important character that helps out the protagonist. And there was concept art of that character that Deborah Wilson was playing. So it's like, this is either completely real or just a very elaborate ruse. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Like, just the whole aspect of like, oh, it's an, you know, we're going to rage because it's another female lead. And it's like, well, the reason why I'm just over it at this point is because like we just got Saros revealed, and it's like, isn't this what we wanted? Like, isn't this what you guys were screeching for? Like, you wanted a new Sony first party game with a male lead. And this one in particular has a badass beard, just like Kratos, you know? And it's like, no, we're not going to acknowledge that. Now we're going to talk about how bad that state of play was instead. It's like, oh, you see what I'm saying? It's just, it feels like no matter what is shown, no matter what is done, there's always going to be people raging and getting angry and finding something to be just perpetually upset about. And I'm not saying there aren't things worth getting a little bit upset over. There are. And there are things that are worth pointing out. And there are things that are worth maybe questioning. There's nothing wrong with any of this. But it's just that, like, I notice people are immediately quick to, as soon if it's a female, if it's a whatever, like, they're just going off the deep end immediately. But as soon as we see something that actually, like, it should kind of check off the boxes of like, this is what you guys want, right? Like a badass gruff male protagonist holding a gun, holding like a rifle that's going to fight some giant beast fucking creature monster or whatever while there's like an eclipse happening on some fucking planet. Like, isn't that what we wanted? And that's why it was just annoying to see that, like, no, of course we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to focus on, well, that state of play was trash. So that overrides that. And it's like, okay, you know, it's very tiring. And that's why even when we talk about games like Intergalactic, like, I get it, man. I get some people are, we talked about it briefly yesterday, but it's like, I get that some people are very hesitant with this game and trepidatious with it, but it's just like, well, let's just wait till we see it before we lose our minds. Hold on. I'm not sure why this thing isn't working. Nobody complained about Stellar Blade. I think it's the fact that we don't want butchy woman or women. Butchy woman. I mean, yeah, I get that too. I get it. Like, there's this kind of, that's why I was saying, like, if you show an attractive female versus I don't know if I would say a butchy woman, but just somebody less conventionally overtly attractive, the reactions are going to be different. And it's because when people see a female character that isn't either sexualized or just more conventionally attractive, they assume it's coming from creators with an agenda. And and I do think that, because I did read a comment that somebody left yesterday. They're like, sometimes people just overanalyze things, assuming there's an agenda when there actually isn't, or just trying to find things where there actually isn't anything there. And I have seen that firsthand. I do think that there are times people miss things, but I do think that there are also just as many times where people overanalyze things and they basically are finding things that's like aren't really there. It's like, I think you're in your own head right now, you know? But the fact that it even has to be a conversation, I think just goes to show how toxic it's gotten. And all I will say is that, dude, when it comes to Santa Monica's new IP, it's the same thing that I'm rooting for Intergalactic. Gender aside, male, female lead aside, I just hope it's a fantastic game, dude. Like, I hope it's an amazing game, because at the end of the day, that's all that's going to matter. Great game, new IP from a really, really talented studio. That's what's going to matter. And that's what's going to be the difference maker. And so, yeah, man, I'm not necessarily in a rush to see Santa Monica's IP. I mean, I want to see it, but it's like, just get it to where it's got to be, And when you're ready to show it, show it. I'll be here. Yeah, I'd rather not think about that. That does sound like nightmare fuel. You will never be happy if you constantly look for negative stuff. Great point. Well said. You think Abby ruined female leads in video games? No, I wouldn't take it that far. Even as somebody who didn't like the character of Abby that much at all, I really didn't like Abby. I don't think she ruined female characters. I think it's interesting that they're not trying to make Caitlin Dever. I think that's the name of the actress playing Abby in the show. I find it funny that they're like, yeah, we're not worried about her being buff. Like, what do you mean? I thought that was so important. Listen, apparently, according to, I think, Neil Druckmann, the reason why they're not asking the actress to get buffer, and she's really thin. Like, that's the thing. Caitlin Dever is a really thin actress. Like, she doesn't, like, in terms of her body, she doesn't look anything like Abby. Her face, I think she actually does look a bit like Abby. But in terms of physique, not even close, dude. Like, not even close. And according to Neil Druckmann, the reason for this is because, and I find this interesting, he's saying there's going to overall be less like action sequences than what you're doing in the game. Like, he was saying that in The Last of Us Part 2, when you play as Abby, she's supposed to kind of mirror Joel. Very brooding, kind of strong and somewhat powerful. That's kind of, supposed to be antithetical to when you play as Ellie. Ellie's more kind of, she's not as strong, but she's more nimble. She's she has like better agility, stuff like that. So yeah, that's apparently the reason why they're not doing that. Just put her on roids, man. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. They're like, so how do you feel about being on the juice? And she's like, no. Could be that. All right. So we're going to be continuing to hang here for about 20 minutes or so. So we'll do kind of like a last call. I'm doing it a little bit earlier because, I mean, I have one more topic to discuss with you guys, or maybe I'll just chat with you guys here for a bit. We're going to head over to the members lounge when we're finished here. So we'll do like a last call. If you want to drop any more support, any more membership gifts, if you want to become a member so you can join us in the members lounge, any super chats, any direct donations, anything like that, you know, feel free to do that over the next 20 minutes before we wrap this up. Is Sorrow scheduled for early next year? As far as I'm aware, no. They just said 2026. So there's no like time frame on when it's going to come out in 2026. I would assume it'll probably be like maybe like mid 2026. You know, I don't know that I'm expecting early. And John B comes in and drops a single membership gift for
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good stuff, man. John B, he clearly wants to get a little member train going. So he drops a single gift for you guys and he gets us to 12. Good stuff, bro. These cats. Come on. One of these cats is always meowing or clawing at the door. I swear, I'm going to have to get a cat flap. Install it into the door. But yeah, John B, thank you for the membership gift, man. And whoever just got gifted, I don't know if you're in the stream right now, Don Leon was gifted. You can join us in the members lounge. You can join us in the members lounge when we're finished here. Yeah, they did. So there is a chance that Saros could be ready to come out earlier in 2026 than people were anticipating because they did confirm they're going to be showing gameplay of Saros this year. So that tells me this game must be pretty far along in development. Where's the who put that there soundbite? Oh, yeah. I didn't make that a soundbite. I need to do that. Thank you for the reminder. It's beast mode. I think I made a soundbite. I don't have it currently programmed, but I think I made a soundbite of like, you're on the list now, buddy. You're on the list. But that would be a better one. I think that would be the best one. Who put that there? Good times, good times. Pragmatic Cat's asking if there's going to be a member train. Well, John B's trying, bro. He's trying. Will the stream Sunday be members only? The stream won't be members only when we are watching, like live reacting to Death Stranding's presentation, which starts at 5. Like that that might be members only. It depends. Like if we're getting a lot of viewership and there's a lot of people filing in, it'll be members only for just the time that we are watching it and reacting to it and then discussing it briefly afterwards. But leading up to it, no, it's not going to be members only. And, you know, if it's pretty tame and pretty chill, then there will be no need to make the chat members only. Is the panel going to be in Japanese? I don't know. I mean, Kojima, I don't think he speaks English, so he'll probably have a translator. But again, Troy Baker's going to be there. Norman Reedus is going to be there. So I think it's going to be in English. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Beast Mode. That means a lot too. You want me to make it members only chat? Well, it depends. Like I said, if we only have like a few hundred people hanging out, there won't really be a need to make it members only. Like, this is, I don't know what my expectations are for viewership for this. Like, I'm expecting it to be pretty relaxed. I'm not expecting there to be like, 900 or 1,000 or 1,200 people watching. Um, like if it was a state of play or something. So we'll just play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. To try to keep those trolls banned. You wouldn't want the gifts to go to them. Yeah, well, like I said, we've been trying to keep our eye on that. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. Either way, though, I think it should be a good time. We've been waiting to see some Death Stranding too. Woondle says, "Yo, I got gifted by someone. Thanks." Well, there you go, bro. Yeah, I've been seeing some new people coming in saying they've been receiving some membership gifts. Always good to see that. So feel free to join us in the members lounge, man. We're going to be heading over there in about 15 minutes. Is there any way to see how long one has been subbed to the channel for? If you're talking about like a regular subscription, that I'm not sure. If you're talking about how long you've been a member on the channel, I think if you go to the membership tab, it'll actually tell you how long you've been a member for. There was one other topic. Oh, wait, no, there was. I almost forgot. There was another topic I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I might get a little bit ranty on this topic. Not too heated, but I came across this, and man, this is some really disappointing news. So check this out. It says, in response to fan concerns, Activision has now confirmed that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 will not ship with the free roam structure of the original game when it launches alongside Pro Skater 3 this July. The fan base first caught wind of a potential overhaul to Pro Skater 4's design when the PlayStation Store description mentioned the epic 2-minute format in relation to the fourth title, and the change is now official. Communicating to Kotaku, the publisher confirms that all levels in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 have been changed to fit the 2-minute format of the first 3 games, and each will feature a list of challenges to complete. This represents a significant structural alteration, as the original title allows you to freely roam the maps on your skateboard and find the challenges in your own time. This won't be the case when the remake arrives this summer. You'll have the option to freely skate around each stage and do some tricks separately, but you won't be able to complete the challenges associated with each level in this mode. Yeah, this is not going, dude, like, from what I can tell, the fans are kind of freaking out about this. And I understand, because I was more excited for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 as well. And this is a, like, let's just face it, this is a massive downgrade. And I want to read some of the comments here. Somebody says, this is such a bizarre decision. For $50, we're getting a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 remake plus a gutted bare bones version of 4. Even though I'm glad they remade it at all, this is not good for this price point. Somebody says, stupid, pointless decision. Somebody says, so it's not the same game then. Glad I don't play these games. That would annoy me if I did. And I want to read this particular reply. This person says, what an absolutely colossal shit show. Just do 3 at this point and price it accordingly. This is not Pro Skater 4. This is 3 with bonus levels that aren't designed for 2-minute runs at all. Super, super disappointing. I was hyped for this at first. Most exciting announcement of the year so far, but they're trying as hard as possible to ruin it with some classic Activision hubris. Was killing Vicarious Visions worth it? Pro Skater 4's approach meant we got incredibly creative goals in every single level, like competitions on a flotilla. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Races, helping prisoners escape Alcatraz, feeding seals, doing salmon on the Kona snake run, and so on and so forth, none of which are possible in the 2-minute format. Not to mention that every single pro skater got their own challenge designed around their career, like Bob Burnquist getting a loop with a giant upside-down gap that you did tricks between, or Bam Margera getting a shopping trolley challenge down the Alcatraz switchbank. Heaps of imagination down the toilet in favor of collecting the skate letters and getting 100,000 points. If you look up the videos of the goals from Pro Skater 4, you'll see why it was such a leap forward for the series. And this kind of stuck out to me the most because this is what highlights. See, people tried to tell some people were acting like I was overreacting when I found out that Iron Galaxy was the one developing this remake. It seems that I wasn't overreacting because this is going to be a deal breaker for quite a few fans because that's what they are shipping with Pro Skater 4 is not what Pro Skater 4 was. And I said multiple times that for as much as I enjoyed Pro Skater 3, Pro Skater 4 was the one that I spent the most time with. And yeah, dude, I don't understand. Listen, the only way I can rationalize this, like, why would you do this? Why would you take such a step backwards is because they just didn't want to do it. Or maybe Activision didn't give them the budget to do it, or they didn't give them the time, and they're like, you're going to have to figure it out. Because it makes no sense, dude. Like, it makes no sense. And this has, I don't know that this makes it so I'm not going to play it. I'm going to have to see it though, dude. Yeah. I mean, it is some BS. Like, it's one of these things where it's like, yeah, I'm glad it's being made at all. I am happy for that. But I feel like, man, I was looking forward to Pro Skater 4 the most, and this just really put such a big damper on my excitement for it. Let me see if I can find. Hold on one moment, guys. Yeah, here we go. So on the PlayStation subreddit, here are some of the reactions to the news. Somebody says, well, no time limit is exactly why I liked 4 more than the other games. Somebody says, what the F? That's literally why I thought Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 was so great. What's the point then? Somebody puts I think it's the Fallout. Everyone disliked that. Somebody says, so it's really a remake. It's really not a remake of 4 then. It's fundamentally changing the entire structure of that game. It's bolting on Pro Skater 1 to 3 mechanics onto it. It just reeks of laziness. Somebody else says this is terrible news. Somebody else says this is very disappointing. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 levels were designed with open-ended goals in mind. Do they change the levels to accommodate this? I don't think that's a good idea. Not looking good, whichever way you slice it. Somebody says, what the... He says, well, that effing sucks. I hate time challenges. Somebody else says, the thing that pisses me off the most is that it's not a faithful remake now like they advertised it. It's just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 with more maps, which blows. And you know what? That's weird, dude. Like, I saw in the marketing, they were saying, like, for the first time ever with new maps. And I thought, oh, so they're adding more on top of Pro Skater 3 and 4. And, like, no, by new maps, we mean, like, a completely different version of Pro Skater 4 that's not actually, true to the original. It's like, damn, dude. This is, somebody says they're not going to buy it then. No timed levels is what I liked about it. Somebody else says this is a completely idiotic idea. The whole fun of 4 was the introduction of open map and finding the objectives. Surely there will be an option to turn it on or off. There's not going to be. Somebody puts the Michael Scott meme of him screaming, no, God, please, no. And it just keeps getting worse. I mean, listen, man, there's a reason why they didn't advertise this. They didn't advertise this because they knew this would be the reaction. And yeah, it's disappointing, man. Like, that's why I feel like I can't even rant, because it's just sad where it's like, bro, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, my excitement for this game has dropped significantly. It's not completely gone. I'm not going to exaggerate and pretend that, like, I hate this game now. I hate Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Get it out of my life. Like, it's not that, but it's just like, yeah, man, I'm going to have to see what they did to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, because if it really comes off as like, bro, you guys actually butchered this game, I don't know that I'm going to be able to support it, because it's like, dude, that was the one I was looking most forward to. I enjoyed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 more than the first 3 games. I did play a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, but I that's why I was like, man, I hope they do the next 2. Don't give Microsoft money for an uncompleted game. That's what you say. I just don't understand, man. Like, the people who are pointing out what made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 so good, like, or such an improvement over the first 3, that's what bothers me, is it was an objective improvement, and it really seems like they were just like, nah, we're not going to bother. Yeah, guys, by the way, if you haven't, please take a moment and hit that like button. We're going to be wrapping the stream up in about 5 or so minutes. So hit that like button to help the stream out. You're going into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 remake thinking it's going to be a lazy remake. I mean, you know what's weird is, like, this is surprising to me, because my biggest thing that I was focused on when I saw the remake announced was I was looking at some screenshots before I watched the trailer, and I was like, graphically, I feel like this doesn't look as good as the remakes of 1 and 2, right? It just didn't look as good. But I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks good enough. It looks close enough to the first 2. When I was nervous about Iron Galaxy handling this remake, this was not something I anticipated. Like, I didn't think it was going to be like, oh yeah, they completely gutted Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, by the way. It's like, what? What do you mean? But then it's like, well, all right, I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess I was right to be concerned and to be worried about the handling of this game. And maybe it won't be as bad as I think. I have to see it, but there's just no denying that by adding the 2-minute timer to this game, when the whole progression forward for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 was we're removing the timer and we're putting more originality into it. The fact that that's being removed and replaced with the unoriginal, well, we're just going to make it time-based. Yeah, I don't know, man. That could be, it could be a deal breaker, dude. Because, like, I don't know if there's something else coming out in July around the same time, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I might pass on this for now. You're saying these games were originally canceled. Be grateful for what you get. So many whiners and complainers around here. No, I have to disagree with you on this one, man. Like, it's a 50-50 thing. You are right that it's like, it was originally canceled, so it's like, it's better than literally nothing. But there's also a part of me that's like, I'm not so sure about that though, because it's like, if it's, listen, we either don't remake these games or we basically gut the 4th game and make it something completely different. Maybe it's just me, because I love the 4th game. That's the one I played the most. I don't know, man. I'd be like, well, shit, I don't know. That's the game I was looking most forward to. It makes me wonder, like, are they going to do a Tony Hawk's Underground remake? Because if they do that, like, you got to get somebody who's going to do that justice. I don't know. Apparently there is going to be free skate, but yeah, I have to see it, man. I have to see it. Like, trying to approach this from a different angle, I do wonder if maybe the reason why they chose to do this had something to do, and this is a possibility, maybe it has something to do with the pro skaters, because it did say that the big thing with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is they had unique challenges. And I remember this, like, you would go find the pro skaters that were, you know, kind of chilling around the areas and whatnot, and you would talk to them. I wonder if it has something to do with that, because there was this kind of rumor going around that apparently Bam Margera is not going to be in this game, and it's kind of like it's like one of these things where it's like some people are not going to be involved for certain reasons, and some people are getting replaced. I don't know. I'm not. It's one of these things where it's just like, for me, no matter which way you slice it, my excitement is not as high as it was. I was very excited for this, and I probably will still play it, because I'm not going to lie that I still love the gameplay of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games enough to where gameplay is king. Gameplay is king. And it is $50. It's not like a $70 price tag they're asking for, unless you want to get like the deluxe edition or whatever. However, I just can't deny that quite a bit of wind has been taken out of my sails now, where it's like, damn. The one I was most excited for, of course, it's the one that's going to get the shit end of the stick. Disappointed. That's what I need. That's a soundbite I need. Remind me. I need the disappointed soundbite. Well, all right, guys, we hit the 2-hour mark. This is going to be a good place to wrap up today's stream. We are going to head over to the members lounge. So if you are a member, as soon as this stream ends, within a couple of minutes, a new stream is going to go up just for members only. We're going to go hang out there for a while. If you are not a member, again, please consider becoming one. You can join us in there. And I want to give a big thank you once again to everybody who watched the stream, but also anybody who gave any direct support. If you dropped any membership gifts today, if you renewed your memberships, or if you dropped any super chats, thank you so much for the direct support. I can only do what I do here because you guys make it possible. So good stuff today. And I also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. So if you guys see him in the comments, give him some thanks. I know he really appreciates it, and he does a great job with those timestamps. So Devil Shooter, shout out to you, my friend, and thank you for what you do. And that does it. The only other thing I'm going to ask is, as you're heading out and hopefully heading over to the members lounge, make sure you hit that like button. And I did put out a news video earlier today. You can go check that out if you missed it. And that does it. So to all my members, I will catch you in the lounge. And to everybody else, I will catch you in the next stream on Sunday. So till then,